You bust your hump, right? Work some job you probably tolerate at best, just so you can afford a little slice of the American pie, a house, a box. A box with some grass around it in some neighborhood where all the other boxes look depressingly similar. Pleasant Acres Estates, they called mine. Pleasant for who? The lawn police? The beige paint mafia? Unbelievable. So I got this box, right? And attached to this box is a backyard. Not Buckingham Palace, okay? Just some grass, couple of trees probably planted when Nixon was in office, and my little setup, my oasis, my escape hatch from the soul-crushing mediocrity of everyday life. I got a grill back there. Nothing fancy, just your standard propane job for incinerating meat on a Saturday. Got a couple of those zero-gravity lounge chairs. Yeah, maybe the fabric's a little faded from the sun. So what? They're comfortable. Got a hammock. A genuine bona fide hammock strung between the two maple trees. That's my spot. My happy place. Lie back. Look at the clouds. Try not to think about my property taxes. Maybe have a beer. Simple pleasures, right? Wrong. Apparently, my simple pleasures were aesthetically offensive to the neighborhood's self-appointed guardian of good taste, Karen. Now, this woman, picture this. Permanent visor, like she's perpetually ready for a seniors tennis match that never happens. Khaki capris, always. Sensible shoes for maximum patrolling efficiency. And eyes that could probably detect an unapproved sprinkler head from 50 yards away. She lives next door, separated by some low, decorative bushes that offer about as much privacy as a chain-link fence made of wishful thinking. It started small, leaning over the aforementioned bushes while I'm trying to enjoy a quiet beer in my hammock. Michael! She always called me Michael, like I was perpetually in trouble with the principal. Michael, that grill! The smoke is wafting, directly towards my prize-winning petunias. Okay, first off, lady, your petunias look like every other petunia on this block because the HOA probably mandates the specific damn varietal. Second, it's called wind. Look it up. But me, trying to be the good neighbor, the harmless schlub who just wants to be left alone, I go, "Oh, hey Karen, sorry about that. Wind must have shifted. I'll move it over a bit." Like an idiot. Rewarding bad behavior. That just opened the floodgates. The next week, it's the hammock. Michael, that contraption, it looks rather temporary. Is that really appropriate for permanent display? Lady, it's a hammock. It's supposed to be temporary. That's the whole point. Then it's the lawn chairs. Such a faded shade of blue, Michael. Doesn't it clash terribly with the association-approved desert sage trim on your house? Are you kidding me? You're critiquing the fadedness of my chairs? What's next? You gonna complain about the brand of charcoal I use? The shape of my ice cubes? It just kept coming. Little notes tucked under my door handle. A friendly reminder that lawn maintenance includes regular edging. My edging was fine. It wasn't Henderson-level perfect. Yeah, that Henderson, apparently these types migrate. But it wasn't exactly the Amazon rainforest creeping over the sidewalk. Then calls to the HOA's management company. These anonymous complaints about general yard clutter, my kid's tricycle, or prolonged outdoor gatherings, me and one buddy having a beer. The HOA, bless their incompetent little hearts, just forwards these vague warnings. Dear resident, please be reminded of community standards regarding yard upkeep and noise levels. No specifics, just enough to let you know someone is watching, someone is complaining. Gee, I wonder who. So, the breaking point. It had to come, right? Another beautiful Saturday. I decide to have a few friends over. Not a block party, not a rave, just like 4 other couples. We're talking maybe 10 people total, including spouses who probably didn't even want to be there. We got burgers on the grill, maybe some music playing low Sinatra for crying out loud, not death metal. Later on, as it gets dark, I break out the little portable fire pit I got years ago. Just a small one, raised off the ground, totally safe. We're sitting around it, talking, laughing at a perfectly reasonable volume. It's nice, civilized even. Suddenly, Karen appears at the edge of my patio light like a phantom menace. Her arms are crossed. Her face is tight. "Michael," she announces, her voice cutting through the quiet conversation. "This is simply unacceptable." Everyone freezes. My friend Stan mutters, "Uh-oh, battle stations." "Karen," I say, standing up, trying to keep my voice level. "Something wrong?" "Wrong?" she scoffs. "The smoke from this bonfire. The excessive number of vehicles parked on the street. The constant chatter, and look at this mess." She gestures vaguely around my perfectly normal backyard gathering. "You always have people here. It's disruptive. It looks like some kind of transient campground back here." Campground. That word. She spat it out like it was poison. 10 people, sitting around a small fire pit, talking. A campground? Lady, have you ever even seen a campground? That was it. The dam broke. Years of passive-aggressive notes, nitpicky comments, the constant feeling of being watched and judged by Captain Khaki Capri Pants next door, it all just snapped. After my friends left, awkwardly, thanks Karen, and the fire pit was safely extinguished, I just stood there in my backyard, her words echoing. Campground. Looks like a campground. A slow, possibly unhinged grin spread across my face in the darkness. "Okay, Karen," I whispered to the night air. "You think this looks like a campground? You think a few faded chairs and a portable fire pit constitute roughing it?" I chuckled, a low, slightly menacing sound. "Oh, honey, you ain't seen nothin' yet. You want a campground? I'll give you a campground." My mission began the next day. Sunday morning, instead of reading the paper, I'm online, mainlining caffeine, and researching. Not ways to appease Karen, oh no. That ship had sailed, crashed, and sunk. I was researching actual campgrounds. What makes a campground? Tents, obviously. Designated sites, picnic tables, fire pits, plural, maybe some rustic signage. Then, the crucial step. Checking the rule book. Not the HOA's ridiculous tome of aesthetic oppression, but the actual city ordinances. Noise curfew? 10 p.m. on weeknights, 11 p.m. on weekends. Standard. Temporary structures? Tents usually fall under that. Fine for short stays. No permit needed. Okay, good. Now fire pits. My little portable one was fine, but real campground vibes need real fire pits. Permanent ones. Dug into the ground, lined with stone or metal rings. City code required permits for those. Setbacks from property lines, from structures. Specific construction standards for safety. Perfect. Permits mean legitimacy. Setbacks mean I can put them just far enough away from Karen's precious sunroom. And multiple pits? The code didn't specify a limit per residential lot, just how they had to be built and where. Oh, this was going to be beautiful. My next call was Monday morning. Found a local company online. Pete's Patio and Pavers. Sounded promising. "Yeah, Pete's," a gruff voice answered. "Hi, Pete. Mike Johnson here. Looking to get a quote on installing some fire pits." "Sure thing, Mike," Pete said amiably enough. "Doing a patio job? Thinking maybe a nice stone one? Built-in seating? Gas line?" No," I said, trying to sound casual. Actually thinking wood burning, and not just one. More like 3. Dead air on the line for a solid 5 seconds. Then Pete's voice, slower now, laced with disbelief. 3? You want 3 permanent wood-burning fire pits installed? In one residential backyard? That's right, I confirmed brightly. Creating distinct zones, you know, for different outdoor experiences. Different experiences, Pete repeated flatly. Like what? Regular burning, slightly larger burning, and inferno? He sighed. Look, man, whatever floats your boat. But permanent pits like that, you need city permits, inspections. Gotta make sure they're X feet from the house, Y feet from the property line, Z feet from any flammable bushes your crazy neighbor planted. Absolutely, I said, maybe a little too eagerly. By the book, Pete. Safety is my middle name. Can you handle the permit process too? Yeah, we do the permits, he grumbled. Just 3 pits, huh? You sure about this? You gonna be hosting Boy Scout jamborees back there? Something like that, Pete, I said, the grin returning. Gotta be prepared, right? While Pete navigated the thrilling world of municipal permits, I hit the sporting goods stores and online retailers. Tents, needed tents, not top-of-the-line mountaineering gear, just decent, weatherproof dome tents. Found a great deal on 4 slightly different models. Gotta have variety for my campsites. A 4-person, a 6-person, a couple of 3-person jobs. Bright, obnoxious colors preferred. Then, picnic tables. Found 2 sturdy wooden ones on clearance. Splintery, but authentic. Solar-powered string lights. Essential campground ambience. Finally, the pièce de résistance. A trip to the craft store for wood stain, brushes, and a router bit. Found a nice piece of pine board in the garage. A few hours of questionable woodworking later, I had it. A rustic-looking sign, deeply carved and stained dark brown. Camp Johnson. Pitches available. Inquire within. Quiet hours. Strictly ignored. Esther 2025. Okay, maybe I adjusted that last part later. Pete got the permits approved. Apparently, there really was no city rule against multiple permitted fire pits. His crew arrived the following week. They were pros. Dug precise holes, laid gravel bases, installed heavy steel fire rings, surrounded them with nice, safe-looking flagstone pavers, all perfectly spaced according to code. All looking ridiculously official. As they worked, I started pitching the tents in strategic locations around the yard, designating Site 1, the Ponderosa, Site 2, Whispering Pines, next to Karen's bedroom window, naturally, etc. I set up the picnic tables. I hung the string lights. My backyard was undergoing a metamorphosis, from slightly neglected suburban plot to, well, it looked like Yogi Bear might wander through at any moment looking for picnic baskets. The transformation did not go unnoticed. Neighbors walking dogs would slow down, stare, point. Kids looked excited. Karen's blinds remained drawn, but I could feel the waves of pure, unadulterated fury emanating from her house. All right, Mike, Pete said, packing up his tools after the final pit was installed. 3 fully permitted, code-compliant fire pits, ready for whatever you crazy kids do these days. He looked around at the tents, the sign, the string lights. Seriously, man, what is this? This, Pete, I said, clapping him on the shoulder, is my personal commitment to outdoor living, embracing nature. Pete just shook his head, chuckling. Rather you than me, pal. Send photos when the bears show up. Phase 1 complete. Time for the grand opening. I sent out a group text to Stan and about 6 other buddies. Code red. Inaugural Camp Johnson campout. This Friday night. Report to Site Alpha. My backyard. 1900 hours. Beer, burgers provided. Bring sleeping bag if you're brave, stupid enough to actually sleep in a tent. Campfire mandatory. Objective? Maximum relaxation. Neighbor annoyance. Over. Friday night arrived, cool and clear. My campers showed up, bewildered but game. Mike, you absolute madman. Stan laughed, looking around at the setup. You actually built it. Welcome to Camp Johnson, gentlemen, I announced, gesturing grandly. Site allocations are on the chart. Grab a cold one. Fires will be lit shortly. We assigned tents. Mostly for show. Nobody was actually planning on sleeping out here. Yet. Fired up the grill and all 3 fire pits. Gotta test the infrastructure. The smell of wood smoke mingled with grilling meat. The string lights cast a warm glow. Stan broke out his acoustic guitar and started murdering some Eagles tunes. Laughter echoed. It felt festive. It felt right. It felt like glorious, smoky, slightly juvenile victory. Of course, it couldn't last. Around 9:45 p.m., just as the first bag of marshmallows came out, the familiar strobing red and blue lights bathed Camp Johnson in an unwelcome glare. Karen, punctual as ever. The same two officers from the transient campground incident approached, looking even more resigned than before. "Evening, Mr. Johnson," the senior one sighed, his eyes scanning the tents, the fires, the small group of guys holding beers. "Getting calls again, predictably." "Evening, officers," I said, stepping forward. "Just enjoying a beautiful night. Everything okay?" "Depends on your definition, sir. We've got complaints about excessive smoke. Seems like a lot coming from one property. Loud music, though I don't hear much now. And, he consulted his notes again. Allegations of an unpermitted commercial campground operation." "Commercial?" I scoffed. "Officers, this is my private property. These are my friends. We're having a barbecue, sitting around permitted fire pits. The tents are just for fun. Nobody's paying. It's a backyard campout." The younger officer walked over to inspect the fire pits. "Pits look properly contained, regulation size," he reported back. "Okay," the senior officer said, rubbing his temples. "Look, Mr. Johnson, the smoke is significant. Three Fires is pushing it for a residential area, permitted or not. It is creating a nuisance for your neighbor. We're asking you, strongly advising you, to extinguish at least two of them. Keep the noise down. No loud music after 10 p.m. sharp. And these tents, technically okay for a night or two, but if they become permanent fixtures, that's a zoning issue. Understand?" "Understood, officer," I said, maybe a little too readily. "Safety and community harmony first. We'll douse two of the fires right away." They gave me a long, dubious look, reminded Karen, who was lurking by her window, to call 911 for emergencies only, and finally left. My friends looked at me. Stan grinned. "Harmony first, huh?" "Hey," I shrugged, grabbing the water bucket. "Gotta be strategic. We won the battle, didn't we? Camp Johnson survives. Now who wants the last fire pit?" The HOA letters started Monday. Oh, glorious HOA letters. Cease and desist. Unapproved structures, fire pits, despite city permits. Cease and desist. Nuisance smoke. Cease and desist. Improper use of residential property. Operating recreational facility. Cease and desist. Unapproved landscaping elements. Tents, picnic tables, Camp Johnson sign. Fines were threatened. Legal action was imminent. Karen had clearly provided them with a detailed, possibly illustrated report. Then came Kevin from code enforcement again. Poor guy looked like he'd drawn the short straw. "Mr. Johnson," he began hesitantly, "we need to talk about the camping situation." "Kevin, good to see you," I said jovially. "Just tidying up after the weekend." I'd taken the tents down temporarily. "What can I do for you?" "Well, sir, we're getting continuous complaints. About the smoke, primarily, but also about the intensity of use. Your neighbor alleges you're running a business, having paying campers." "Paying campers?" I laughed, maybe a bit too loudly. "Kevin, that's ridiculous. It's just friends, like a barbecue that goes late. The fire pits are permitted, used safely." Kevin sighed. "Look, Mike, the pits themselves meet code. The use is the gray area. 3 pits, regular large gatherings, smoke impacting neighbors. It constitutes a recurring nuisance under City Ordinance 112B. I have to issue you an official notice of violation regarding the smoke. You need to take significant steps to mitigate it. Burn only one fire at a time. Use only clean dry wood. Maybe install spark arresters. Continued violations will result in fines. He looked genuinely apologetic. And frankly, sir, while tents aren't explicitly prohibited short-term, leaving them up continuously could trigger zoning enforcement for unpermitted structures or land use. Okay, so the city had leverage on the smoke and maybe the tents if I pushed it. The HOA had, well, they had Karen and a lot of hot air mostly. But the constant barrage was wearing. The threat of lawsuits, even frivolous ones, wasn't fun. The joy of annoying Karen was slightly diminished by the potential for actual fines from the city. I had friends over again the next weekend, but we were more subdued. Only one fire pit. No guitar playing. Tents stayed in their bags. It felt less like Camp Johnson and more like just my backyard again. Which was fine, but the principle of the thing. Then Karen complained about the smell of the one fire pit. That did it. Maybe Camp Johnson couldn't operate at full capacity 24/7, but it wasn't closing down entirely. I called Pete, the patio guy, back. Pete, Mike Johnson, got a question. How hard is it to convert one of those wood burners to natural gas? Like with ceramic logs and an easy on-off switch? Pete laughed into the phone. Giving up the Boy Scout routine, huh? Yeah, easy conversion, much cleaner, less smoke, less character, maybe. Sometimes, Pete, I said, glancing towards Karen's perpetually twitching curtains. Less character is a strategic advantage. So, here we are now. The tents are packed away in the garage, next to the lawnmower, ironically. 2 of the fire pits are now tasteful, gravel-filled planters holding some HOA-approved shrubs. A peace offering? Maybe. But the main fire pit, the one closest to my patio? It's now a beautiful, clean-burning gas pit. Instant fire, no smoke, controlled by a switch. Perfectly legal, virtually complaint-proof. And the Camp Johnson sign, it's hanging in my garage, a reminder. Karen still avoids eye contact, but the constant stream of complaints has dried up. Maybe she found a new crusade. I heard rumors about someone's unapproved wind chimes. The neighborhood breathes a collective sigh of relief. My backyard looks nice again. Normal, even. Was it worth it? The expense of the fire pits and the conversion? The arguments? The visits from bored cops and stressed-out code enforcement guys? The sheer, nerve-wracking absurdity of it all? Sitting here now enjoying the clean flicker of my gas fire pit, beer in hand, silence from next door. Yeah, it probably was. Because sometimes you just gotta push back. Sometimes you gotta build your own ridiculous campground, even if it's just for a little while, just to remind people, and yourself, that it's your damn yard. You might have to compromise eventually, but you don't have to roll over for the Karens of the world. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I hear the faint sound of absolutely nothing. Bliss.